Good morning, all. Can you see this slide share? Yes. Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Abhi. So we were discussing the concept of notification and eventing, or you can say it is the implementation framework of the publisher and subscriber model. So let us just start with that, and then we'll first be studying notification framework, and then we'll be studying eventing framework, right? If you are aware, or if you remember the last week, this notification framework is given by one organization and eventing is given by the other one. Anyone remembers notification is governed by which organization? IBM or Microsoft? Notification is governed by IBM, and eventing, generally in Microsoft we use event as a concept, right? You have studied .NET also, so you might have seen eventing kind of terms, right, at many places, right? So that is why eventing is a you can say specification given by Microsoft, and notification is given by IBM, right? Now in publisher subscriber model, we usually have two entities. One is the publisher and the other is the subscriber, right? Let us just revise that quickly so that we can move towards that. Subscriber always sends a request message, and before that it has to search for the available topics, right? So the first step it has to do is search for available topics, right? And then it has to send the request message for subscription, right? So these two steps it has to execute, and the role of publisher is it has to keep on polling, or it has to keep on waiting for certain event to occur, right? And we also call that as situation or event, depending upon the framework. We are waiting for certain situation to occur, and based on that you will be multicasting or broadcasting the messages, right? So this is the job of the publisher, right? And last time we had seen the concept of you can say something kind of a broker, right? So what is the concept of broker, right? I think this is the slide that we have seen last time. So broker can be used to decouple publisher from the subscriber, right? So they do not have to interact directly, right? They interact via broker, right? So that is the concept. Okay. So we are just adding one more service in between, right? Because broker service or broker based implementation is used by notification as well as the second concept of eventing. Okay, so let us start with WS notification. The notification process is tied to an event, right? An event is reported by the publisher, right? Event in the sense, suppose you have subscribed to a blog, right, regarding new technology, right, that has come up. So whenever there is any new update regarding that technological framework, the publisher will be getting an event. That means whenever a new news is there, that means event is generated. Okay, and this event is called a situation, right? Event, for example, is new technology available, or you can say new mobile phone launched in the market, right? That is my event, right? In case of WS notification framework, this is known as a situation. Okay, whenever situation occurs, it results in the generation of one or more notification messages, right? So obviously, if for a certain subject you have only one subscriber, then you will be generating only one notification message. Otherwise, you will be using either multicast or broadcast. What is the difference between multicasting and broadcasting? Can anyone tell me? which one has more number of messages ideally? Multicasting or broadcasting? Let me simplify. Yes, correct. Broadcasting, right? Because broadcasting goes to everyone, right? Does not matter who is the recipient. It goes to everyone in the network. While multicasting checks your database that how many subscribers are there for this topic, right? Yes, to specify destination in multicast, correct, right? So you will have a database query, right? In case of multicasting, while in case of broadcasting, do we need to access database? Ideally, no, right? We can simply send the message. Okay. Okay. It is just like a global notification, right? Okay. So these messages contain the information about situation, right? Like as I said, a new mobile phone has launched in the market or a new Android OS has been launched, right? So those are called topics, right? New mobile phone launching is one topic. New OS launching is another topic, right? So based on the topic that you have subscribed, you will be getting the update. Okay. So through this categorization, notification messages can be delivered to the services that have subscribed. Obviously, you will not be sending it to, you can say, services which are not interested, right? So only to the subscribers. So this is the basic concept of notification. Just remember the terms. We have seen a few terms. Event is the first term, right? Event is something new occurring, right? Situation, right? In case of WS notification, event is called a situation. Okay. Another term that we have studied is a topic, right? So based on the, you can say, domain, there can be a number of topics available. Okay. So these are the few terms that you can remember that are part of WS notification framework. Okay. Fine. So let us now go into the model, right? I hope you remember we have seen the model of coordination. We have seen the model of atomic transaction, business activity. We have also seen the model of choreography, orchestration, right? Similar to that, there is a model diagram for WS notification. So before we look at the diagram, we'll cover the concepts. Okay. So first is obviously publisher. Now, the second is subscriber, but as you can see, there are two more terms: notification producer and notification consumer. So what is your guess? What is the job of notification producer? This term is actually confusing, although it is designed by IBM, but they have made this name confusing. So what should be the job of notification producer? To notify subscriber. Yes, I would accept that answer. Anyone else would like to add or would like to modify that answer? See, we should not mug up, right? My point always has been you understand the concept, right? And you can easily select your answers in MCQ as well as even in the theory exam. Okay. Yes, I'll repeat. Publisher and notification producer, right? My question is, what is the job of notification producer? Is it same as publisher? Obviously, it should not be, right? Then what should be the task exactly done by notification producer? By name, what is your guess? That's what I expect as answer. As Prince has written, to notify subscribers. So I agreed to that, right? Anyone else would like to add something? Notify producer that event has occurred. Okay. Okay, we'll see that, right? Whether it is correct or not later. Okay, so let us go for the next now. You already know publisher and subscriber, right? I don't need to explain that. Publisher usually generates the notifications. Yes or no? Yes, correct. And it also sends the notifications. I hope you will agree to that also. Yes. What about others? I'll repeat. There are two things publisher does, right? It generates new notification messages, step number one. Step number two, it sends or broadcast or multicasts the messages, right? Okay. So that is publisher. Subscriber. Subscriber's job is to first send the subscription request. Okay. And in the ideal scenario, the subscriber service will be receiving the notifications. Yes or no? Do you agree to this as well? Correct, right? Then tell me, what is the need of these two different services? Notification producer, notification consumer. Shouldn't publisher be same as notification producer and subscriber be same as notification consumer? Logically seems equal, right? As per the name. Are you getting the point that I'm trying to discuss? Yes or no? Yeah. Okay. So we'll clarify. Don't worry. Right. There is a difference. Right. There is a difference because there is a different service over here. Okay. So obviously there is a difference. We'll see what is the difference. Right. Okay. So let us start with the first term, publisher. Right. Publisher represents the part of the solution that responds to a situation. That means whenever a new update is there, that means responding to the situation, right? And it is responsible for generating notification messages. Is it service provider? Yes. So the role can be generic, right? Service roles are generic, Urjit. So publisher can also be called as a service provider. Yes, I agree to that, right? But we are being more specific over here, right? Because we are talking about a specific model that is publisher subscriber, right? So that's why we have given it a specific name, right? So correct, publisher is a provider. Agree to that, right? Okay. So just understand this term. Publisher is responsible for generating notification messages, right? But what is the second line? However, a publisher is not necessarily required to distribute these messages. So actually, we want to decouple two aspects: generation of notifications and sending of the messages. Now, what would be the benefit of this? Can anyone tell me? If I divide these two tasks in two different services, what would be the benefit? Task number one, generate notifications. Task number two, multicast or broadcast the messages. So, what would be the benefit achieved by this approach? I hope you are listening to me and at least the question is clear, right? Okay, surely. I'll repeat. Let me know, right, if you are not getting anything, right, anywhere. Okay. Over here, what is written is, publisher is responsible for generating notification messages, right? Is that point clear, Urjit? Okay. Now, earlier we said that publisher also broadcasts the messages, right? So it is doing two jobs at a time. Yes? Okay. What if I take out the second job, right, and give it to some other service which is dedicated only for sending the messages across the network? Right? What would be the benefit of this approach? Decoupling message generation from sending. See, this is all conceptual, right? We are not discussing any mathematics over here, right? If you will discuss, then only you will enjoy, right? Less overhead. Service subscriber is not same for all notification. Yes, correct, right? So we actually want to decouple the publisher service to be directly connected to the subscriber. Is that point clear? That is one benefit, right? Publisher does not have to directly connect to the subscriber. Yes or no? If I decouple these two jobs. Yes? Correct, right? And due to that, what would be the benefit? Another benefit. while the you can say service which is sending the messages is busy, right? You can keep on generating new notifications as and when the event occurs, right? So you are not, you can say, you will not be busy in sending the messages. Once the notification is generated, you are always free, right? Yes or no? I'm talking about publisher. Publisher is always free once the notification is generated and it is sent to the other service for broadcasting, right? So there is less burden on the publisher, or as Urjit has said, less overhead on one end. Can I say that? Are you getting this or not? See, we have to design the service architecture, right? That's why I'm going in this this much detail, right? Okay, fine. So who will take up that burden? The question is, who will take up the burden of distributing notification messages? And that is given to the notification producer. You can read the definition. Distribution of notification messages is the task of notification producer. Is it clear up to the third bullet point? Right? Okay. Fine. Good. So what else notification producer does? We also have to focus on that. Fine. So this service not only sends the messages, it also keeps track of subscriptions and it corresponds directly with the subscribers. Okay. So actually, notification producer does the job, which is again two tasks at a time. Task number one is manage subscriptions, right? Task number two, send notifications. Am I saying correct? Yes or no? Yeah. So in which situation we have to go with this kind of model? Suppose you are having very few subscribers, right? That is one scenario. And the other scenario is like Google forums or even your Stack Overflow forums, right? Where there are a number of subscribers, right? So in which model going with two separate services would be better? In case of less number of subscribers or in case of more number of subscribers? Again, this is a logical question based on the concept. Yes, obviously, right? Because as the subscriber base increases, we need proper management, right? We can't let only publisher to manage the subscription as well as generate the messages as well as send the messages, right? We want to divide the task. Okay. All of you are clear with this? Yes or no? So notification producer should only be used where we are having high volume requirements, or you can say we are having number of subscribers, right? Huge number of subscribers in that sense. Okay. So we have seen two roles. All of you are clear? This model achieves autonomy. Okay, that's a good point. Yes, autonomy says that your service should control its own logic, right? So publisher is only responsible for generating notifications, nothing else. So can I say that it is in one sense independent, Prince? And independent means autonomous. I hope you agree, right? Similarly, notification producer is assigned a specific job, manage subscription request, and whenever you receive a notification, broadcast it. That's it. So the boundary is again fixed. It is not depending upon others. So yes, autonomy again achieved. Clear? Yeah. So yes, it's good that you raised this point because we are going to start with that chapter very soon. If not today, tomorrow. Service orientation principles, right? Where we'll have a lot of discussion on this, right? Which principle is satisfied, where, and how to satisfy a particular principle, right? So those all things we are going to discuss, and if you will interact, then only you will enjoy this, right? Okay. Now let us look at the other side. Subscriber is the part of the application that submits subscription request to the notification producer. Now I hope you understand this line. Why it is submitting to notification producer? Why it is submitting the request to notification producer, not to the publisher? I hope the answer is clear. Because it manages subscriptions, correct? Right? Okay. But when you have very less number of subscribers, in that case, you don't need notification producer, right? Unnecessarily, we should not code an extra service, right? Okay. So this means that subscriber is not necessarily the recipient of notification. This is another interesting point, right? Subscriber might be just given a job of generating subscription requests. That's it, right? The actual notification is supposed to be sent to some other service. Isn't that possible? If you have 50 services on a certain area or on a certain domain, right? You design one service whose responsibility is just to subscribe for the topics. That's it, right? But whenever the update is available, the update would be sent to, let us say, service X or service Y, not to the subscriber. Is this scenario possible? I hope you are getting the concept. Yes. So let me elaborate. What I am trying to discuss is subscriber can be different than notification consumer, right? We can have the actual destination as notification consumer. Subscriber's role would be just to subscribe. That's it. Are you getting this or not? Okay, I'll give you a concrete example. Suppose there is an invoice service, right? Invoice service. Okay. Now, invoice service would like to know that how many invoices are processed till now. Suppose invoice service has submitted 10 invoices, right? So, in between, it would like to know how many invoices have been processed by the other company. Okay. So, for that, it will be having a subscriber service, right? Subscriber service will be sending request for getting the update of invoice processing. Okay. Now the question is, ultimately, which service is going to receive the update, subscriber or invoice? Is the situation clear? If you want, I can repeat. Yes, Urjit, Dev, Priyank, if you are there. Yes, Munaf, Ronak. Yes, I'll repeat. Sure, no problem. See, we have invoice service, right? Invoice service has sent 10 or 20 invoices to the other side. Is that clear? Is that step? Okay. Now, in between, what I want is, I want to know that how many invoices have been processed by the accounting service on the other side. Is that clear? I would like to know that how many payments have been released. Yes? Clear? Okay. So for that, can I subscribe for the updates regarding the invoice processing? Can I subscribe for the updates for invoice processing? I hope it is clear now, right? Okay. So the question is, now listen to my question, right? Is the subscriber service going to receive the update regarding invoice, or it is the invoice service itself which will receive the updates? Which is more meaningful? Suppose you have a separate subscriber service which has sent your subscription request, right? Now, is the subscriber service responsible for catching that message, or it should go to the direct invoice service? I hope it is clear now. Yes, right? Invoice service. So can I say that subscriber and the actual recipient are different? I hope now you get the point, right? Okay. And what do we call that invoice service over here in this slide? In this slide, which is shared to you, publisher would be there on the other side, right, Urjit? Who will generate notification, right? Yes? Yeah. So this will be called notification consumer, right? Clear? Notification consumer. Okay. All of you are clear with the example which I explained, right? So the point is, subscriber can be different and notification consumer can be different. Okay, these two can be different entities. Similarly, notification producer and publisher can be different entities. Yes or no? In earlier slide, we have seen that. Okay. So if you want to design a scalable architecture, how many services you have to code? At least scalability. If that is in mind, then you will be going with separate publisher, separate notification producer, separate subscriber, and separate notification consumer. So I would say it is 4. I think Urjit, you would agree to that. If you want scalability, right? If it is a simple one-to-one interaction, then what would be the minimum number of services? Yes, correct. Only publisher and subscriber. Now, I'm happy that all of you understood that, right? Okay, so see, we are going to design the architecture, right? Don't think about programming right now. Whenever you are designing the model, at that point, these all questions will come in your mind, right? Are you getting the point, what I'm trying to discuss, right? We are discussing this concept independent of programming, because in programming, how to implement this, that is known to you already, or you might be studying that as well, right? But the main thing is the concept, right? Okay, so this is the concept of notification consumer and notification producers. Now let us look at a simple model. Okay, so in this case, what I assume is we are having less number of subscribers, right? So we just have one service on the left hand side, publisher. I hope you are clear with this. Publisher is also acting as notification producer. Yes. If there was a high volume environment, in that case, you will have a separate service notification producer. Is this diagram clear? Just observe the number of steps, right? What will be message number 1? On which message you will label as 1? There are number of messages, right? Subscription request, correct, right? Then step number 2 will be step number 2 or message number 2. Response message, correct. Because immediately you need to let the subscriber know, right? See, whenever you are subscribing to some forums, you are getting a notification, right? That you have successfully subscribed to this, and now you will be getting all the updates, right? Okay. Number 3. It is not a message, it is an action. What is that action? Number 3, situation, right? Correct. Whenever situation occurs, what publisher has to do? It has to first generate notification. It has to check the database of how many people or how many services which has subscribed. And finally, the notification message fires, right? It is not necessary that notification message will be sent to the subscriber only. It can be sent to a separate notification consumer. Is this scenario clear? Right? Okay, now one framework that we have studied in second session will be useful over here. How you will come to know that where am I supposed to send the notification? Right? How will you define that? Using which concept? Let me see how many of you remember the second sessional theory. Which concept of chapter number 7 will be required so that we know our actual recipient? Any guesses are fine, right? Correct. Both of you are correct, right? Broker is actually a service, Surjit. So broker will be using that database, right? We'll see that later. That diagram is coming up, right? But over here, what I'm asking is, we have to know our actual subscribers, right? And we have to know the destination where the message is going. So yes, we'll be using SOAP header, as Deep has said. And the concept that is using that SOAP header is addressing, as Dev has rightly pointed out. I hope all of you are clear with that, right? WS addressing will be required, or you can say MI headers will be required, right? We need to embed a specific header to let the message know where you are going, right? Remember that concept? Source endpoint, destination endpoint, fault endpoint, right? So addressing would be definitely used for this WS. So it is not necessary that any framework or any concept is standalone, right? WS notification has to use WS addressing. Okay, fine. Now, if I go in further detail, let us observe this diagram. Take a minute and try to observe this. Try to understand the sequence of messages. Can you read the text? I hope it is readable. Okay, okay. Just try to trace it out, right? Then I'll explain. This is actually a scalable model, right? In a high volume environment or where the number of subscribers are very huge in number, this kind of model should be used. This is called WS notification with broker. This is, you can say, a scalable model, right? Okay, let us go through this, right? I hope you observed this for a minute. Fine. First, who will start interaction? Obviously, subscriber, right? So subscriber is going to send the subscription request to publisher registration manager, right? You can understand the name itself. It is responsible for listing down the topics, right? It creates a list of topics on which the subscribers might be interested, right? So once you have received that list of topics, you will send a subscription request, right? And you will immediately get a response that you are subscribed, okay? Now, the second task will be done by the publisher. Whenever situation occurs, publisher will generate a notification message and that will be sent to the broker service, okay? Now, you can see two message exchanges between notification broker and registration manager, as well as notification broker and subscriber manager, right? So I'll ask one question over here. Notification broker, why it is interacting with subscriber manager? What should be the role of subscriber manager? Let us answer that first. What should be the role of subscriber manager? Yes, it is, you can say, a database. Can I say? It is a list. It is going to provide you list of subscribers. Can I say that? In other words, right? Okay. Now, why it is interacting with publisher registration manager? Why there is a request and response MEP between broker and registration manager? Because what information registration manager can give us? List of topics. Remember that? Yes. Based on a topic, right? So first I will fetch the topic, right, from the registration manager, and then I will find out how many subscribers are there on that topic. Are you getting the situation? Right? Okay, I'll again repeat once if you are not clear. Notification broker has to make two calls. The first call is it has to fetch the list of topics from publisher registration manager, and based on that list of topics, it has to query the database for the subscribers. And then finally, the notification message is sent, okay, to one or more consumers. Is this situation clear now? Right? Okay, so the question is, we are adding more services, right? So there is going to be burden of managing extra services, but what is the benefit of this particular framework? Notification with broker. Yes. What do you see as immediate benefit over here? Okay, can I say that every service is given a small responsibility, right? So the burden of managing the large amount of logic in a single service is reduced. Yes or no? Load on publisher is less, obviously, right? Correct. As well as load on broker is also less, can I say? Because initially, see, notification producer was doing what? If you remember, it was doing two things. What was the first thing it was doing? Notification producer to manage subscription request, correct, as well as send notifications, right? So it was assigned two jobs. Now we are further dividing that, right? Yes, we are dividing the job, so every service will be having less load, right? And it is doing only one job at a time, so there is autonomy as well. Do you agree to this? Every service has complete control over its logic, right? So this is actually the complete model that we should implement. Whenever we want to implement a notification kind of architecture in SOA, we should stick to this kind of model, right? Because in future, if number of subscribers increase, right, at that point, if you are using a single publisher or single subscriber, that model will fail ultimately, because there will be a lot of load on the single service, right? So you will experience delay in notifications, right? So notification broker based framework is better than this basic model. I hope you agree to that, right? Yes. Okay. So now I think you are clear with the model. These are model diagrams, right? So the only thing left is the definitions of each this term, right? So let us go through that. Okay. The first term that we saw that is new is notification broker. It is a web service. Remember, wherever it is written as a web service, that means you have to code that separately, right? So there is a difference between web service and a component. Web service has to be completely coded separately, while component can be a part of any other web service also. Yes or no? Component can be a part of your logic, right? While web service is itself going to contain the endpoint and all those details, right? Okay. So broker has to be coded as a separate service. That is what is the essence over here, right? It performs the role of notification producer. Although in definition it is written as this way, but I would say that it is performing a partial role. It is just doing one job, right? And that job is distribution of notifications. It is not handling the subscription request. Okay. What is the benefit of having broker? It isolates the publisher from any contact with the subscriber, right? So publisher service can serve more clients, right? If you use a broker, okay, that is the benefit. Fine. Let us go for the next one. Publisher registration manager. As we know, it is again a web service coded separately that provides an interface for subscribers for two things: search for the available topics and then perform registration, right? Search for the available topics and then perform registration. Although in the model we have seen only one message exchange, but actually there will be two message exchanges. First you will get the topics and then you will be subscribing for a certain topic, right? So that is publisher registration manager. Okay. Then comes subscription manager. This is actually a backend service. Why I'm saying backend? Because it is not directly interacting with the outside party, right? It is going to just allow notification producer to access and retrieve subscriber information, or you can say the database of subscriber, right? For a given notification message broadcast or multicast, right? So it depends upon the way that you are implementing, right? Okay, are you clear with this? These three terms: broker, registration manager, and subscription manager, right? Okay. If I want to reduce one service out of this, which service can be reduced or removed? Let me go back to this framework. Which two roles can be merged? Yes, anyone? Which two roles you would like to merge? Okay, I'll give you options. Broker and publisher. Yes, that can be merged, Urjit. Correct. Right? But we are decoupling that so that in future we will be scalable. Right? Okay. So that's why we would not like to merge that. Publisher registration manager and notification broker. Okay. Publisher registration manager, notification broker. Okay. So then if you merge that, again, you are combining two tasks in one service. Yes or no? Registration manager and broker, if I'm combining, we are merging two tasks, right? And that might increase the overhead if number of subscribers increase in future. Yes or no? Right now you are having 100 subscribers. What if in 2 days you reach 1000 subscribers, right? Then if you assign these two tasks to a single service, it is not going to be scalable, right? Okay. But can I merge publisher registration manager and subscriber manager? Because ultimately, registration manager is doing what? Managing subscriptions only, right? So ultimately, it is updating the database of subscribers. Are you getting this? Publisher registration manager is updating the database of subscribers, right? So if I don't keep this subscriber manager as a separate service, will that be fine? Can that job or can the database query be fired directly to registration manager? Yes or no? I hope it makes sense, right? Okay. Is the point clear? Yes or no? Should I repeat? Let me know if it is not clear. Publisher registration manager is responsible for managing subscriptions, right? And subscriber manager is just querying the database, right? So if I give the database directly to the publisher registration manager, will that be sufficient? At least answer that. If I remove this subscriber manager from the framework. Yes, correct, right? So it depends how you implement it, right? If you want to implement this framework completely, you have to code at least 4 services, right? On the provider side. Okay. Can I say that this left-hand side is completely a provider side? Now let us talk about roles, right? As I think Urjit had raised that point, right? Yes, right. And can I say that the right-hand side is your requesters, subscriber is a requester, consumer is actually a requester, right? It had not requested, but ultimately it is getting a response, right? So can I say that the right-hand side is representing your requesters, right? So roles are generic. That is what was my point. I think, Urjit, you are clear now? Roles are generic in nature, right? Okay, fine. So let us now summarize this. WS notification has in total at least 6 services, right? Publisher, subscriber manager, notification broker, registration manager, subscriber, and notification consumer, right? And every service plays a different role. If you want scalable architecture, we should code all these services as individual services. We should not merge their logic. But if you are implementing a small scale architecture, then you can still reduce this. Okay, so the minimum number of services would be 2, right? And maximum number of services would be, or at least you can say 4 on the left hand side and at least 2 on the right hand side. So 6, right? 6 plus, can I say that? Because there can be more than one consumers, right? Yes. Okay, so this is all about IBM's concept. IBM had given this framework, right? Okay, now let us see what is the difference between this and the eventing, right? So now I'll start with WS eventing. WS eventing addresses the publish and subscribe model by focusing on event-oriented messaging. So same concept. In notification, we call that as a situation, while over here it is known as an event. Right? So concept is same, just they have assigned different names. Okay. When an event related to any web service occurs, any other service that has expressed the interest, in other words, the subscriber, are subsequently notified. Okay. So whenever an event fires, you will be sending a notification. That's what this point is saying, right? So there are 3 basic terms we are having: event source, event sync, and subscriber. Can you compare event source with the earlier model that we have seen? Event source should be same as what? I'll take you back to that framework. These are the 4 terms of notification, right? Event source is actually a combination of publisher and notification producer. It is publisher plus notification producer. Clear? So in basic model, WS eventing does not divide the job into 2 services. It says that we have only one service that does 2 tasks: publish the notification or generate the notifications as well as distribute that, right? So that is event source. Okay. Now let us go for the next one, event sync. What should be event sync? Again, can you compare that with some service over here? Notification consumer. Absolutely correct, right? Notification consumer is called sync. Sync means where the data is going, right? So that is event sync, and subscriber is again same. Okay. So basic WS eventing, why I'm saying basic, it will be clear soon. Basic WS eventing model says that we go with only 3 services. Event source should be generating the messages. It should be distributing the messages. Plus, it should be managing the subscription request. So actually it is doing 3 jobs at a time. Yes or no? Yeah. While event sync is doing only one job at a time, that is consume the subscriptions, and subscriber is doing again one job, sending the subscriptions. Okay, clear with the basic model at least, right? We'll expand this further, right? Okay, fine. So the term publisher is never actually mentioned in eventing specification. Microsoft never has used this term publisher, right? They always use the term called event source, right? This part of eventing architecture is responsible for, look at the underlined terms, receiving subscription request and issuing notification messages. Okay, so it is doing combined job of notification producer and publisher. Okay, let us look at the other side. On the subscription end, we are having, you can say, work breakout. Okay, one service which we are having is event sync and the other is subscriber. Event sync is designed to consume the notification, that's it, right? And it consumes the message from where? The message is coming from event source. Okay, the second is subscriber. Subscribers are the services capable of issuing various types of requests, right? So it will search for a topic and then it will send for the request. Okay, so this is the basic model. Okay, let us look at the diagram and then I'll go back to the previous slide. Now in this model, we have 4 services, but the 4th service is in dotted part. Okay. So right now we assume that that service is absent. It is optional, you can say, right? So in that case, subscriber would be sending subscription request to the event source. Wherever event occurs, right, it will send a message to event sync. Is this 3 service model clear at least? 3 service model? If we skip that dotted portion, right? Okay. Now the question is, why do we have that dotted portion? Right? So in high volume environment, you can see the second, right? In high volume environment, it may be desirable to split the role into separate services. Which roles? The role of managing subscription and transmitting notification. Okay. So we are actually decoupling that task, right? And we introduce another service that is known as subscription manager, right? So now you can see the subscriber is sending the message to subscription manager and then you are getting the update. But who will be acting as, you can say, who will be generating the notifications in this case? If I add this 4th service, event source, correct. And who will be distributing those messages again? Again, event source. Yes or no? So, is there any scope of having broker in this architecture? Is there any scope of broker in this architecture? As a programmer, if you want to introduce, that is possible. But the WS eventing architecture says that there is no broker, right? I hope you are getting this point. Yes or no? Okay, so I'll summarize this so that you can easily remember the concept. See, we have to do 3 things, right? Manage subscriptions, that is the first. Then generate. Yes, Surjit. I'll come back to that point, right? Generate notifications, that is number 2, and send notifications. At least I think we all agree to this, right? These 3 are the basic tasks, right, that we require to fulfill, right? Okay. In the case of WS notification, we had 3 separate services doing 3 jobs. Yes or no? 3 separate services, right? Okay. Managing subscription was handled by, let me just go back to the model. Managing subscription was handled by publisher registration manager. Agreed? Right? Generating the notification was managed by publisher. Again, do you agree to that? Right? And sending the notification was done by broker. Right? So we wanted to actually decouple the notification generation with sending, right? While eventing says that you should not decouple that because it is a new framework, right, that Microsoft has suggested. So yes, Urjit, in this case, broker's requirement is not there, but still, if you want to decouple that aspect, which I just discussed, then broker can be introduced. Yes or no? I hope now you would agree. Right? As of now, broker is not introduced in the framework, right? But broker can be introduced if required, right? As a programmer. Okay. Fine. So eventing has less number of services than you can say WS notification, because Microsoft felt that we can manage with these 4 services. It will be same as previous framework. Yes. So see, basically, what SOA designers had tried to do is initially they designed their own standards and then they merged, right? Then they agreed to the other standards. When notification was designed, Microsoft was unaware of that concept, so they did not design that concept and they have designed it separately. So this is the only case where we are having two frameworks to represent a single concept. Other than that, in SOA, everything is unified, right? So you can say this is the only concept where there is ownership, right? IBM says, or it claims that we have designed this concept, notification, and Microsoft says that we have designed eventing. All other standards, SOAP, WSDL, UDDI, and other things like XML have been designed in collaboration of multiple companies, right? Is that fine? Clear to all? Okay, so that's why I had to cover two standards, because this is the only case where we are having two specifications, although they are doing the same job, right? Even if you introduce broker in this case, it will become same as notification, right? But as a specification, we should study, right? That's why I've covered this. Okay, now let us summarize, right? As always, what we have done is the summary, right? But before that, we need to see the messages, right? What kind of messages this framework supports? One slide is left, right? So, as a part of WS eventing, Microsoft has suggested special messages, right? So the first message is called subscribe request. This can be sent for new subscription to be created, okay? And it has also suggested that you can also unsubscribe from a topic, right? So you can design a special SOAP message for unsubscribe request, right? Another is renew, right? So Microsoft has introduced one more term over here that is called expiry date, right? Generally, wherever you are subscribing for a certain topic, do we have any concept of expiration? Suppose you are subscribing for a weather update, there is no expiration, right? Correct, I agree, right? But sometimes, what if that topic has become totally obsolete, right? Or you know that you are going to update regarding this topic for only 3 months, like an admission process that you all have gone through, right? So, should I keep that thread active for all the time? If there is not going to be any update after 3 months? No, right? So over there, do we need an expiration date kind of field to be introduced? Right? So that is the concept Microsoft has introduced. That is, always there is an expiration date of your subscription. Whenever you use WS eventing, there is an expiration date attached, right? But if you think that you want to continue the subscription, then you should renew. Yes or no? If you want to continue the subscription, we should renew. So for that, we have a separate message that is called renew request. Are you getting this concept or not? Right? So I want to continue my subscription. For that, I have to send the renew request. Okay. The last is further interesting. Get status. Suppose you want to know how many months are left in the expiry of subscription. So for that, I can send a get request message. Understood this fourth one? Yes or no? Yeah. So WS eventing supports 4 specialized messages. And ultimately, who will be sending these messages according to this example? Whether it is a subscriber request, unsubscriber or unsubscribe request, renew or get status. Who will be generating and sending these messages? Which service? The answer is very simple. You have only 4 options, right? Subscriber, obviously, right? Subscriber in this case, right? Okay, so this is the difference between notification and eventing. In case of eventing, we are having less number of services, but it gives you extra parameter that is subscription message, right? Okay, so we'll take up this summary tomorrow, right? Because time is already over, and then we'll start with chapter number 8, right? Chapter number 7 is completed. Okay, so thank you. Let us end this session. Have a good day ahead.
Good morning to all. More examples.